Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back. We have the Dual Core 3.06 gigahertz. Let me think. Oh yeah, it's an Imac 21.5 inch. Oh yeah, let me think some more. 2009. Woohoo! Okay, let's have some fun here and talk. Another YouTuber got on one of my videos in reference to this thing. Actually, I think it was the first video, because come to think of it, I've only done two. So, the other one was about video editing, which would have answered his question, so it was the first one. Okay, so I'm a little spun out today, but it's okay. When it comes to the 2009 iMac, he had asked me about video editing. I'm like, okay, well, it takes about 2 hours plus to do the file size that I did for you fine folk, with like no color correction, no no nothing, okay, just here we go. Yeah, that really sucked. I didn't even time the import time it took. Now that's the funky thing about older Macs, is with iMovie it has to import. It's not instantaneously like it is on newer Macs, like, you know, my 2013 iMac, it was pretty quick. Just, you know, 2015 iMac 5K Retina, done. Okay, alright, let's have some fun. Let's edit, color correct, whatever we wanted to do. We were already ready to go, right? Those are fast steroided machines with some serious video horsepower too, compared to little, this thing, okay? This has only 256 megabytes of NVIDIA video. Now, it is integrated, so it does share system RAM. There is another version of this same iMac that Apple said, hey, let's give you dedicated video. Well, thank you. You couldn't have done that in the first place, Apple. Like, come on, chop chop. Okay, so the newer one, or other one from 2009, came with an ATI one, which was still 256 megabytes of video, but at least it was dedicated. But you still couldn't upgrade the video RAM in it. You're still stuck at 256. But it's a lot faster when you have dedicated graphics versus integrated. Are you watching this, Apple? M1s. You want to straighten this garbage out, please, so we can play video games for real? Okay? Anyways, so with this, yes, it's going to take you a while. Now, here's the thing, if you want a usable machine for 2022. We're not quite sure how far to 2023 we're going to get, or even to 2024 as far as the internet goes, but right now, this thing's secure. The last pile of security updates for Sierra came out, now this is High Sierra, was in 2020. According to all the little spec lists that come up with a whack load of updates like this that I got for everything, right? When I installed the OS and some programs. Now, here's the ticket. Every time you reinstall your Mac OS, if you're a Mac head, you know this. Apple does not give us GarageBand, Keynotes, and a few other programs, including iMovie, on a reinstall. But when you buy a computer brand new from the store, all that stuff's already there. You just got to update stuff, right? Yeah. Okay, but reinstall is because they give us a choice, unlike PC World, okay? So, we get a choice. Do we want to use GarageBand? Because GarageBand is going to suck up a lot of space once you install all the sounds. The program itself, minuscule. But all those sounds, oh my gosh, right? So, yeah, it sucks up your hard drive. iMovie. Not everybody likes iMovie. For the first, I don't know how many years, forever, I hated iMovie. I'm like, I really can't figure this out. You know, I was doing video editing on a PC. It was simpler, right? But eventually I'm like, I got to learn iMovie. So I've been learning iMovie, and now I'm really good with iMovie. And I can only get better and better. And I love DaVinci. DaVinci Resolve, oh, nice program. And you can get a full usable version for free, right? Anyways, so we get a lot of freebies as Mac people. You ever notice that? PC World doesn't. Anyways, so with that being said, I want to talk about the most current things you can get for things like GarageBand and iMovie and so on, okay? Now, Google Chrome, I am running the most current version, okay? And that surprised me with High Sierra. It really honestly did, okay? So if we go in here, because I'm not signed into Chrome, even though this is secure, I've got enough computers signed in on the internet stuff. But if we go in here, we go About Chrome, we are running version 108.0.5359.124, okay? Official build, okay? x86_64. Chrome is up to date. This is the most current version, which is the same current version on my Mac Mini, same current version on my gamer laptop. Okay, so we are good to rock and roll there as far as internet security goes. We can go anywhere we want to and not get sneezed at by anybody. So wonderful. Why is my lighting low? That's an issue for me. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, whatever. Who cares? You can see me still? I think we're okay. Yeah, I think we're okay. Yeah, whatever. Alright, so we can definitely do this. So there's Chrome. Safari, same deal. Safari, let's fire up Safari. Yep, we can do Safari. Now, even on an old dog, I have the educational version white Imac, which I'm actually considering selling because, yeah, I don't really use it. But either way, I can still get to Apple's website with that thing, but I can't do much more with it because that's a real old dog. And I think I'm running, which one is it now? I think I got Tiger on there or something. Anyways, really old OS. But you can always get to Apple's website securely. Why? Because they want you to buy a Mac, so they're going to make sure you can get on, right? Anyways, so let's go to YouTube. If you can get on YouTube, you've got security. That's my theory. Because I had a 2007, I think it was, and it could only go to El Capitan, if I remember correctly. Anyways, there was no browser on any suggestion from YouTube, whether it was Brave, a newer version of Chrome, or whatever. None of the browsers would work. It's like, forget it, you're not getting back on YouTube, which means zero security, okay? Some sites would still let you on because, hey, not secure, who cares? They'll let you on. DL air guns will not let you on. But on this, it does because it's a 2009, not 2007. So we might have a little bit of, I don't know how much time left where we can securely surf the internet with this thing, okay? It's going to be picking a poke. However, it works. We can watch videos. We can sign into our YouTube account if we want to. And rock and roll! Alright, so we also have Open Office, which is an open source program. This is also the most current version. So this is where I'm going to be using this computer for writing my songs on and doing other musical things with. Okay, just not recording my music. Although I can. I have my Mini for recording my music. So why would I want to tie this thing up for that? Anyways, so text document, spreadsheets, database. This is a solution instead of paying Microsoft their blood money every year or whatever it is to keep using Office. This thing does Office. It saves in it, it translates it, you're good. Okay? So we use Open Office. Handbrake compressor program. It actually works really well for compressing files. Now, I've not tried to compress anything with it since doing the Mac because my whole big thing was, yes, open it anyway. First time I ever ran it. There you go. So this program works quite well. I really like it. I use it on my M1 Mini. No problems. I even use it on the PC. Works fantastic. I like it. And it compresses my program, my movies that I've done for you guys for YouTube. It'll compress that for me smaller so that it's not such a huge upload. Because YouTube's going to compress it anyways on the upload even further. And of course they always screw with our audio when they overcompress. Because when you overcompress something, period, it does lose some definition and tone, but at least everything usually works out okay. Alright? But anyways, in our activity monitor, we've got 8 gigs of RAM in this computer. It will go to 16. It will not go any higher. I tried. I ordered a couple of 8 gig sticks because I was thinking, oh, let's go 16 or, even 20 because, I got 4 2s in here, right? Not a chance, man. Even the 2 8s barked. But that's 16 gigs, Kev. Yes, but there's 4 slots. Apple got sneaky on this, okay? So, because it's only got the 2 slots, or 4 slots, you can't just occupy 2 of them and say, here's 16 gigs. It says, no. Meh, 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 meh. And it's like, yes, sucks. Anyway, so I had to send the RAM back, obviously. And it was the correct RAM. That's the thing. Correct RAM theoretically should work, even if it split it in half. No. So you can only run 2 gig chips in whatever way. You can run 4s, 2 4s and 2 2s if you want to, right? But you can only go to 16 gigs. That's as far as this machine goes. So, but anyways, we're only using 2.36 gigs up after, you know, firing up those little programs, because they do kind of leave some stuff in memory so that it's faster to launch the next time, kind of thing. So, but rest assured, iMovie works absolutely perfect. Now, when you install your OS fresh, you're not getting iMovie or GarageBand or any of that, a couple other programs either, because that's just what Apple does. They give you the choice. Yes, you actually have a choice with Apple. Okay? They don't force you into stuff like that. They got other things they force us into. But anyways, so iMovie works perfectly fine. Now, this is an older version. Okay? So, when you go to the App Store, you're only going to find the most current version. But it should allow you, now, I've had iMovie before, so it's always been in my purchase list, and it gets updated as it goes. So I'm not sure about going right to the main store part, but definitely through your own purchase area. Anyways, it gave me 10.16, okay, which is the last known version to run on High Sierra. Okay, so we have this. We're fine. We can do stuff. And you know, it really doesn't look any different than the newest version, you know. But it's not the newest version, obviously. Okay, so if we want to take a look at the current number of the newest version here, which will boot up a lot quicker than that thing did. Here we go. Fire it up. iMovie. We are running 10.3.5, which is the newest iMovie to run on Macs that can run it, including, of course, M1s and M2s. Now, when it comes to GarageBand, actually we'll do that one ahead of time on this one while we're waiting. GarageBand. You can get an old version of Logic Pro X that should also run on this thing if you want a more advanced music program. But in this case, okay, we're going to have to boot to the screen. About GarageBand. 10.2.0 is the last known version that is compatible to High Sierra. On the newer Macs that run the newest version, okay, the newest version is 10.4.7. So not that far off, right? Now with 10.4.7, of course, and you throw Logic in there, 29,483 sounds on the most current version. That's sick. I love it. As far as sound access points go on this one, with everything, 4,201. That's actually not bad. But if you were to able to upgrade the OS further and get an even newer version of GarageBand, because that's how it would work, okay, you would get access to even more sounds, obviously. It's kind of the way it works, right? But that's still, I mean, if you don't know what to do with over 4,200 different sounds, like, I don't know, okay? But you can also add your own stuff in here too if you wanted to. Now, the wonderful thing about older Macs that you'll really appreciate is what we all hate Apple for. They got rid of iTunes, right? I got iTunes on my brand new gamer system, right? No problem. My Mac Mini, forget it. It's called Music, okay? But iTunes is a really cool program, as we all know. And iTunes is fully here for the 2009 iMac and any other Macs that ran iTunes, right? So, I kind of like iTunes a little bit better. I like it anyhow. So, but there's many other programs too. And there's newer programs that can still run. If you're into gaming and you like games, you can actually use a program called Porting Toolkit. So then you go to GOG, you purchase a game or get your free games that you can get for free from there. These are games that are PC that have already been set up to just, you know, throw into your PC, right, and install them natively, no problem, nothing needed. Or you can wrap them with a program called Porting Toolkit, run them on your Mac. And so I've got programs like Gun, Far Cry, Unreal Tournament 2004. I've got the Mac only version and I got the wrapped version. I have Unreal and Unreal Gold in a wrapped version, and they all run great. But they don't run so great on the M1, which is a more superior machine. Really? Okay, we'll discuss that in another video though. But there's a lot of other games. Even the most current version of Chromag Rally runs on this thing. It's like, holy cow. Deer Hunter Reloaded. External Shooter, Motor Racing 3D, Touch Grind BMX, Top Speed. These are games that all seem to run fine, which are a lot newer than this computer is, but they still run, okay? And there's many other games if you want to play games, okay? So it's not a big deal. So it's a very usable machine, but the bottom line here is, what is this thing also worth nowadays? Well, here's the thing. It's worth as much as you're willing to pay and the person is willing to let it go for. Now that's the God honest truth, okay? But when it comes to reality, what's it really worth? The same thing. If you're willing to pay what somebody wants and it's worth it to you, then it's worth it, okay? But condition does speak volumes, okay? I mean, I've gotten some pretty questionable computers that I paid probably a little too much for, in my opinion. Especially when you consider age, how much more time it's going to be usable for. Because my major concern on buying any computer is internet, okay? But if I'm after the nostalgic, then I don't care about the internet, okay? I have a, I don't remember what year it is, but it's the educational version of white Imac, okay? I have one of those things, and I paid about, I think, 30 bucks for it is what me and my buddy paid a piece for ours. Anyway, so yeah, I paid about 30 bucks. Now, it's worth more to the vintage collector people and to those people who think that because it's vintage, it's worth money. See, Apple considers a computer that's 7 years old to be vintage. It's like, it takes 20 years for a car to be vintage, okay? Like, seriously? You know? Then you go from there to antique to collectors to whatever. Anyways, so Apple can say whatever they want. Apple, they know their stuff, but when it comes to values and what is considered vintage, well, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a pig in a poke, right? But I go by condition. The better the condition that it's in, the more it's actually feasibly worth, right? So this is in cherry condition, and this, by the way, is glass, okay? Don't be fooled. It's actually glass. Be careful when you pop it off. It's magnetic, which is nice. I kind of wish Apple would have stuck with the magnetic thing and then, you know, had the screen screwed in. We could unscrew it and do it that way. That was actually a really great idea, because when you're having to cut the whole tape thing and everything, and you got to get a new tape kit, and it's delicate just taking those screens off. And I've only ever cracked one in over 30 years, so that's not bad. At least it was one of my own. But it sucks when you do, because that's the whole display gone, right? So there's $900 you're going to have to spend to fix it. But this, you crack the glass, you can get a whole new glass for like not even $100, right? And then you got the screen underneath that, etc. This thing is really nice to work on, which I really like. It does have an HDD. It's 500 gig HDD, full size, 7200 RPM brick, okay, which is probably the majority of the weight of the computer right there, right? I am going to put an SSD drive in this thing. I'm thinking more and more. It's like, I want a little bit more horsepower out of this thing, especially for boot up time. I mean, seriously, like, it takes a little while to boot this thing from a cold start. But even programs to initially fire them boot a lot quicker and run better and faster and smoother with an SSD, which means movie editing, if you want to do movie editing on this thing with an HDD in there from the factory, that took over 2 hours. We should be able to see a really huge decrease in time once we go to an SSD internally. External SSD ain't going to help you. Don't even think about that idea. The ports aren't that fast on the USB on this thing, okay? Yes, you can hook those drives up, but they're not going to run as fast as you would like, okay? So, it's just old busing. But internally, an SSD will work quite well on this thing. Now, RAM, I have 8 gigs. For me, I think 8 gigs is where I'm going to leave it. I don't think I'm going to go to 16 gigs. It kind of depends on how much I have to really invest in this thing to do everything, because there is a special cable with a sensor line that's part of that cable that you must use in this thing with an SSD, or your main fan goes wah, and you're going to burn out the fan and cook it. So it's kind of like, you want to keep the fan running for another 30 years? Might want to consider the proper cable connection with the sensor, okay? Because the sensor cable that's plugged in right now is just a cable. It's not an actual sensor. It's wired into a sensor on the board. You still have to get that sensor signal back into the system to cool the jets on that fan, right? And that means a special cable, okay? So you can get them off Amazon. They're not that expensive, but you got to get one. I do have a tray here that should work, but if not, I know where to get the right tray. It's in my favorite list on my Amazon website anyway, and I can get the full-size tray that holds the SSD. So there are a few things you need to do to upgrade these things. So yeah, anyhow, but otherwise it's quite the usable machine. But it's realistically, to me, it's worth anywhere. Well, if you can get it with the original keyboard and mouse, which by the way was the Magic keyboard and Magic mouse, the ones that ran off batteries. They work, okay? And they're Bluetooth, right? Finding a Bluetooth keyboard and a Bluetooth mouse that'll work with this thing in today's third-party stuff, good luck to you. You're not going to find that too easily. I have one Logitech keyboard that will actually work, and it's designed for iPads and iPhones more than anything, but it will connect. But I have no Bluetooth mouse. Even what I have, which would be considered backwards older tech capable, still doesn't go back far enough to work with the Bluetooth in this. And I did try a modern Bluetooth dongle, which allowed me to bypass the onboard Bluetooth, but it has to be reset every time you reboot the computer. So as long as the computer's up and running, it's fine. But it's when you shut down the computer and reboot it, you're screwed. So it's kind of like, So for now I have USB wireless keyboard, USB wireless mouse. I'll probably stick with that unless I can get a good deal on a Magic keyboard and mouse. Then I can keep it all Apple original, which will actually increase its value if you want to go for that sort of thing. Because I didn't buy this to resell it to make money. I got it because I wanted it. It's cool. It's fun. I can play some older stuff on it that my M1 can't do, you know, and that my G4 definitely isn't going to do, and my old Imac educational version, white thing, can't play for games. This thing's going to do it, okay? Plus, if I wanted to do, in this day and age, audio stuff, if you want to do audio stuff on this thing in this day and age, yeah, GarageBand works perfectly fine. You can turn out some pretty professional level recordings with this thing. All you need is a USB interface, and depending on how many connections you need, would depend on, of course, the interface you get. I wouldn't go past something like a 2i2 or a 2i4 from like Focusrite is who I would recommend. Best boxes out there. But if you need more than 2 connections, instead of buying a bigger USB interface, just get yourself a mixing board, something like a 10-channel Yamaha for about $270, and away you go. And then you've got 10 channels, and you go to your speaker outs and take up the 2 blocks going into the interface, and yeah, you got 10 channels. Or you got a 12-channel board, got a 32-channel board. You can have a lot of serious fun with this thing with music, even with that version of GarageBand. It'll work fine for you, okay? It's not that difficult. So anyways, so yes, it's still a very usable machine. You can still do FaceTime. It has an iSight camera, which, I've got to admit, it's kind of, you know, low res, but you can get a 1080p webcam, throw it on there for a better picture. Okay, you can do that. There's more than one way to do stuff in life to achieve your goals, even on this Mac, okay? That would also not cost you an arm and a leg, too. So, a lot of benefits here. A lot of good points, definitely for that. Upgrading the RAM, there's a plate down below here on the bezel. There's 3 screws, you pop it off, pull the little flaps down, yank really hard, pops out your memory sticks, put in your higher grade memory sticks to upgrade the RAM. But just remember, you can go in combinations of 2s and 4s, but you cannot go past 4 4s, okay? You can't go even 1 8 or 2 8s. You have to go with 4 4s to maximum RAM of 16 gigs. It will not go any higher than 16 gigs, okay? You can't do anything with the video for upgrading in these things. Not going to happen. But the 256 works great. Now with my RIME wrapped version, our porting kit wrapped version of Far Cry. Now that game, it sets itself up. Spec machine, yeah, it's high. But all the settings you'll find are pretty much low except for one will be custom. Don't mess with the settings. You can burn out the card, okay? Something that happened to a buddy of mine. So don't do it. You can change the resolution though to the full 1080p to get a full screen playing area. And Far Cry, surprisingly enough, works like flawless. It is fantastic to play wrapped on this thing, yet it won't run with a snot on my M1. It's like whatever. But anyways, so there's definitely some really good points there too. Anyhow, so that's what I pretty much got for you guys. I'm sure there's more we could discuss and talk about, so if you do have questions about that, I can always do a video in regards to questions. So down below in the comments, ask away. I'll do the best I can to answer them, okay? And yeah, I guess we'll catch you on the next one. So see ya!